I thought the best way to do this was kind of go through the main code and kind of just go into the other files while I'm doing it. So first I'm going to run this main test, make sure everything passes. Good, so I passed 14 of 14 tests. And then go into main and I'm going to run that. Alrighty, so here at the beginning, it's essentially taking two doubles. It's creating two of these and setting them, creating two variables, setting them to these numbers, and then putting them into the namespace game3D, and then the distance function. That distance function can be found right here. So it's taking these two variables, it's getting the absolute value of one variable, subtract the other, because we want absolute value because we don't want a negative number. And then also we are setting the precision to 2 while it's fixed, which basically means it'll have 2 decimal places is what that means. And then it will print out a statement, and then it will return the distance. Down here, it is also printing out another statement here, so it's calculating for this number, which should just be 10, and then points. And this right here is creating an array called locations ID with all of these elements. So all of these elements are contained within that array, and then it's setting a total distance equal to the namespace of total walking distance, which is a function, with that array. So if we go into total walking distance, right on, sorry, it's right here. So it's taking that array, and then it is setting the total to 0, and then it'll loop through this array, and then it'll get the total from one distance point to the other. Sorry, I need to make that better. It'll get the total distance from one point to the other, and then it'll return the total. And then it'll print that statement right there. In part 2, we have it's also creating these two variables, and these are just being used to test in these. In this namespace, game3D, that's in the function safe to travel, that's also in the function safe to travel. Safe to travel message, and then function safe to travel. And I'll explain how that works real quick. So here we have a namespace that's declared in game3D. The namespace is right up there. We have all these signatures. It says to go into safe to travel message, right? So here we have safe to travel message. This is what will be printed out based on a Boolean status. What is that Boolean status? It's this safe to travel. So we go back to safe to travel, the safe to travel function, which is right here. And then what does the safe to travel need? It needs two doubles. Well, what are these two doubles? These two doubles are these 2 points right here. So those two variables. And that essentially does it 3 times. However, on this last one, it doesn't need a second parameter because it's allowed to have a 0, which is basically testing the origin. This will print out a print statement, and then continue down here. It will set the total distance equal to the function total safe walking distance in terms of that array. So down here, part 3, this will create 2 arrays in two arrays that have 3 elements in them. These are the elements right there, and those are called enemy 1 location and enemy 2 location. Down here, it is creating a double of the enemy distance, and it's going into distance, and it's performing that function comparing one array to another. So if we go in here, we find distance, it'll automatically go into this one because it's comparing arrays, and it will return the distance, which is basically this formula right here. So in here, what's happening is it's taking the square root of this entire area in here, and what this is saying is basically take the array 2, take the first element in array 2, subtract the first element in array 1, and then do that 2 more times. So here B is essentially enemy 2, A is equal to enemy 1, and then these little guys in here are just the element number that it's referring to. So the first element, the second element, and the third element. and then it will get the decimal, so 2 decimal places, and then it'll print out this statement right there. And that statement looks like these guys right here, basically. Okay, so I'll go back in here. It does that, and then it prints out this statement right on, and then it goes into this right here, which it sets enemy distance to the result of one array compared to the origin, which is right here in the code, and then prints out another phrase right there, and then lastly it creates an array called locations 3D. In here it's storing the first array of elements, the second array of elements, and all of these additional elements. It's storing all of those and putting those into the function total walking distance and setting it equal to total distance. So if we go into total walking distance, which is right here, total walking distance, it will take an array and then it'll loop over all these arrays, calculate the distance from one point to the other, and return the total. And then it'll print out the statement, and then the code's over with. And that's basically what it looks like down here. It's just finding every single point in between those and calculating it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.